I know you're surprised to see us. It ain't Friday night, but this is a special Thursday night recap show because of weather-related issues. We may see this again on week 11. I don't know. We'll discuss that stuff. But my man Diggsy's here. Kenny's here. Wizard's here. We've been out shooting football, analyzing football games all day long, starting at 2 o'clock, ending 10 minutes ago. We're all back in here. We had all this information. We figured, hey, let's give it to them a little early. So we're going to run some scores for you on Thursday. Even though you're not ready for it, you better get ready. Digsy, what do we got going on in 3-6-A? Anything? Talk to me.
Well, hold on, we got to get there. I'm still coping, I'm still coping after the pain of Plano East. Just so close, but yet so far away. Wizzy, I've never seen this happen before. I see a lot of things, but after it was 17-0 Plano over Plano East, just another turnover that led to a touchdown and just all kinds of craziness. And all of a sudden they decide we're going to go 1945 wing T veer. And all of a sudden they score 2 touchdowns and they just look unbeatable at the end of the day, but just was a yard short at the end of the day. Oh man, what are we going to do with some of those crazy things? They were a little bit beatable.
Oh, brother. All right, let's take a look at 3-6-A from tonight. Crowley got the big win of the night. They took down Mansfield Legacy, so that puts them in a good spot here, right, boys? And then you take a look at North Crowley, big win, Keontae Ingram with 213 and 4 touchdowns. But talked about the significance of that Crowley win over Mansfield Legacy.
Well, don't they only have to just win one more game going forward?
Yeah, that's it. I figure you go a little bit deeper on that, but I guess not. I guess we're just going to say that and be done with it.
Thursday, the analysis there is our Thursday analysis.
Yeah, you haven't
had the dump yet. You haven't had.
I will add this though. We don't know what Crawley's been all year so far. So I mean, when they had to step up, they did step up tonight. I mean, that's a huge win for them. I mean, we've been on that team back and forth on that seesaws for a long time,
right.
But tonight they stood up.
Yeah, tonight they stood up and made themselves a playoff spot, and then that. I don't know if I like the fact Lake Ridge gave up 46 points to Weatherford. I don't like that at all. I mean, not that I gave them too much of a chance in their first playoff game, but I don't really like that. I don't like to see that mess.
Yeah,
by the way, you're go ahead.
But ultimately with Crowley and Crowley's going to win the tiebreaker over Saginaw Boswell and Mansfield Legacy now to get a playoff spot in there. So Crowley is going to end up being the 4th playoff spot. We're having all kinds of crazy chaos going on, but that's what happens when you get rainstorms and all kinds of things.
So Crowley, seen the rain yet? You're talking about your depressing situation. I got a depressing situation over here. I sent my kids to Flower Mound. They went there for 4 years and they haven't beat Marcus one time in a daggone showdown. So that's pretty depressing on my end. I actually went over there and asked them, "Hey, do y'all think you could just fail this year so you can go back one more time, give it one more shot?" And they both told me to shut my mouth, and I didn't appreciate that either. But it is what it is. Hey, how about this Brewer one?
Yes.
My man always letting us know about that big Brewer win. All right, 4-6-A. 2 actually crazy games here because Keller was up 30-0. And then Timber Creek came all the way back to take the lead, and then Keller needed a touchdown from Brock Burkett from 17 yards out with like a minute left to win that game. But man, that gave you vibes of the SGP game, didn't it, Dixie?
Yeah,
I mean, where points came out.
We see this thing to where all of a sudden I was feeling it because we talked about if for whatever reason Keller Central could get a win over that, a 3-5 team could end up in the playoff run, and it would just all kinds of tiebreakers. But now we were like 1 point away from it happening either way. Trinity, if Trinity would have lost, all of a sudden Trinity was going to be at risk next week with LD Bell, and that game was going to mean a lot more. But now everybody kind of held serve and.
That was the Trinity.
4-6-A gave us craziness yet again. 2 1-point wins.
And that was a Trinity overtime win where Eaton did what Dixie loves. Go for 2 in the first overtime. He loves that.
Do that.
He loves that stuff. And it didn't work out for them. So there's a loss for you.
If you would have told me Keller Central has a shot at getting into playoffs after that loss that they had to the Colony week 1, I would have lost the mortgage.
What in the world? Absolutely. How about the craziness in this district? I mean, at halftime, we were worried about the whole world. I mean, Braswell was up on Coppell. Geyer had 3 points on Little Elm. They never really did get their offense going, to be honest with you. I mean, they ended up with 29, but Zephyr Cray had like 97 yards throwing. It's Caden Cobbs on offense, or else they're not scoring at this moment. And Coppell didn't even have their quarterback going. Am I right, Kenny, on that? I don't think Zingelman was in there.
He wasn't playing tonight. So, I mean, but Braswell has actually played a little. They've actually had a little pulse here the last 3 or 4. So I want to give them credit for that, because it looked like that they were just going to be the dog with Little Elm. But they played some teams tough. They just haven't gotten any W's, to show for it here. True. I mean, and I guess, with Coppell not having their starting quarterback playing too, that kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. But what about Louisville's defense here? I mean, isn't that something that's a little alarming here? I mean, 3 weeks ago, we thought that they were going to have this big showdown with Geyer, and there's holes in defensively for Louisville here the last couple of weeks.
That's a 3 overtime game, by the way, and they let Brady Brock throw for 332 and 5 touchdowns. So their secondary was giving up shots everywhere. All right, let's go to 668. Diggsy already told us a little bit about his game. They were down 17-3, right? And they scored a couple extra.
17-0.
Nothing.
17-0.
But the big dog is tomorrow. Make sure you guys, if you can get out of work, I know the 3 of us can because it is work. Get up to Prosper for that 1:00 game of the week against Prosper and Allen. That's going to be a sweet one. Hopefully the rain will stay away and get us all out there.
Yeah, McKinney Boyd was a pretty good game for probably 3 quarters. McKinney pulled away in that second half, and again the Plano East game, yet another 3-0 barn burner at halftime. Plano East was in a 0-0 barn burner last week and a 3-0 barn burner this week. Plano, man, 2 plays, Ward. They had the fumble recovery for a touchdown and an 88-yard Chance Cully run. Your guy, Chance Cully. That was it.
I like that
was it.
Yeah.
Plano East, just heartbreak central when it comes.
That Plano East game, were they running clock in the first half?
Yeah, they're running some clock, all right. All right, big wins by Richardson Berkner. By the way, Lake Highlands won tonight as well, and Richardson beats Jesuit. I was at this game, man. That was a huge game. By the way, ain't nobody blocking Jamie Winfield. I know we talked about it in the district breakdown. We did rankings of defensive players, and I had to convince you to throw them in there as the top 5 because you're like, I don't really know about him, is what you're saying. I know I saw him live. Nobody can block this guy. He's Tony Saragusa, he's Sam Adams, he's whatever big defensive tackle in the NFL that needs to have 2 people block for him, block him to keep him out of it. That's exactly what he is. He was unbelievable. And Richardson as a team, Lucas Sawyer threw for 383 and 4 touchdowns, but he did throw 2 picks, which kept Jesuit in the game. They took the lead, went up 27-14, and then Damian Crow scored a touchdown with 30-something seconds left and went ahead and got that win. There was a huge win there, 28-27, because that makes next week's game with Lake Highlands for the district title. It's going to make it all that more special. They got some fast receivers. They're little guys. There's a lot of little guys out there, but there are some fast receivers over there in Richardson.
Telling you, Ward, I'm not sold on Richardson. I mean, we saw how close that Lake Highlands and Berkner game was, and all of a sudden now you got Richardson barely beating Jesuit, needing a 4th quarter comeback. That worries me about Richardson. I'm telling you, that's not that kind of dominant thing that you
I agree.
To see. I don't agree. I see it very unlikely that they're going to jump into a 3-way tie. It's mathematically possible. Obviously, you got to have the opportunity, but I don't think that they're going to jump into a 3-way tie with Lake Highlands.
Well, isn't that the first time the Jesuits scored some points on a good team here? I mean, they've been struggling to score all year. So 27th spot against a decent team, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. How about Lamar's backs against the wall here? They got a big win over Arlington, which really kind of kills Haltom, doesn't it, with that it gives Haltom a real tough shot of getting into the postseason. Or are they going to get shoveled up there, Diggy? Talk to me.
Yeah, I think that was 35-21. And how many times have we done this two halves with Arlington? Arlington did that against Marcus. It was 21-0, Ward. I was like, everybody in Halton was excited about it. And then Lamar 35 straight in the second half to take care of business. And now now Halton still controls their destiny, but now you got to beat South Grand Prairie. And when you got to beat South Grand Prairie to control your destiny, that is not looking good. But look at that Martin scoreboard. I mean, SGP looked a little more mortal today after that 53 and 54-0 wins the past couple of weeks. So can Haltom beat South Grand Prairie? Absolutely.
The South Grand Prairie would have had Lucas had 25 for 156 and 3 TDs, and Brooks had 7 for 102 TDs. I think they rushed for 267 yards today.
Lamar rushed for 368, and they were aided by 4 turnovers by Arlington. You can't have a 4-0 thing. The big thing for Martin was Jesse Ford was back on the field, so that's pretty awesome. The big thing on the Bowie thing is I noticed that Jaden Bibbs went down at some point in the game because Mason Nichols was through for like 12 times during the game. So if there's really an injury there that's keeping him out, or because it's only a 10-point spring, I don't expect them to take their starter out when they're only up by 10. But that could be something we could look at there. Hopefully there's nothing seriously wrong. Hopefully I'm just looking into things, just like maybe they're giving because they were up 30-7 at one point. So maybe they're giving Mason Nichols a look there, but something to look at there.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on in 968.
This Wiley East Rowlett game was way more crazy than this even looked, because it was 14-0 Rowlett with 3 minutes left in the game.
Seriously?
3 minutes left in the game, and then Wiley East finally scores. They go down and get an onside kick, but only are able to turn that into a field goal. Then they get a stop, and then they scored on the last play of the game. I mean, this game was absolutely incredible if you're a Wiley East fan. But for me, who's thinking they got to play 10-6A coming up?
Yeah.
That is not the kind of confidence builder I wanted to see if I'm a Dub East fan. Rowlett, again, just gave it everything, but Dub East did not look good. A win's a win. I know they're going to tell you a win's a win, but that was as ugly of a win as you can get. That is, I'm sure the Gamecast probably had a 98% likely Rowlett was going to win when it was 14-0 with 3 minutes left in the game. So credit Wiley East for not giving up and staying in there. But that was a heck of a comeback by Dub East to get to win even by 2.
That does look like a clean sweep for 10-6A.
The 9-6A district is a flip of a coin. It's just, man, we can't ever figure it out from week to week, man.
That's wild. North Forney with the big one, 47-0, and they out yardaged Royce City 634 to 144. Now, when you out yardage a team by 500 yards, something ain't going right for you. And I was like this close to going out there for that one. I pivoted at the last second because I got called into another shoot, but man, oh days. I was looking forward to seeing some of the Royce City guys too, but that did not look good.
That's a whitewash in your own backyard. That's not good, man.
That is shocking to me. But I feel like and you see this with young teams. It's like they hit their wall. It's like they were running high 4-0. Things were going well, but we knew once they got into this district, it was going to be a tough week in and week out. And now I feel like North Forney just broke them. Like they just, that game was 14-0 at halftime, so it wasn't like it was dominant there. And from what I got a report at halftime, and they said it should be 14-7. They're on the 1 yard line. They didn't punch it in from the 1 yard line. And then the avalanche in the second half. North Forney is looking like the real deal. And Rockwall, no problem against Tyler Legacy. That game was like 33-7 at one point, and Tyler just got Rockwall just got to name their score.
11-6A, another, like you call him the MVP, another big game for Sherrod Baker. I mean, the guy just keeps putting them out there. This week was 184 and 3 touchdowns. And Cedar Hill last week, 85 yards against Wax. This one, 110 yards. Their offense is now at a stalemate against the really good teams. They're going to be the 4th team in the playoffs, most likely. And I I don't know if I can put money on them to win as the fourth team. I don't think I will. I'm not good on the 12-6A teams, but if they're constantly going down in yardage, and that quarterback Muhammad has taken a lot of steps backwards as well when they're starting to play against good defenses. So
you need a pulse to get to double digits, and they're not getting to double digits, and that side over there, that's not going to win many games, man. No,
you're right.
It's like Lancaster figured it out too late in the season. And we see it like Keller last year. Like Keller was the team in 4-6A that was like, okay, if we would have had a redo at this point, I think they would have beat Justin Northwest and made it in the playoffs. Now Lancaster looks really good. They're dominant, and Cedar Hill is just going to lose their way basically into the playoffs. And like you said, 12-6A, they'll be the small seed. They'll be the D2 second seed in this, and they'll probably have to play Killeen, Harker Heights or something, and they're probably not going to be a favorite in that game. But DeSoto, strong win over Cedar Hill.
And is Waxahachie back-to-back donuts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Alito, they crushed him. Caden Finley, our bobblehead guy this week, had 6 catches, 157 yards, 3 touchdowns. I sent out a stat. They had 500-something yards or maybe it was 480 in the first half. And they just took it to Richland. We've been talking about Richland's poorish defense all year, and boy, did that thing get exploited. Everybody was feeling good on the Alito offense. They made a toss one to the right guard at some point. I don't know. I can't verify that. Talk about some of these other scores. Denton Ryan over Denton in that big Denton rivalry game. I believe that was at Bronco.
That was a one-score game at halftime. I was looking at that, and I was like, okay, what's going on, Denton Ryan? And they poured it on in the second half. I gotta go back to that Alito score, because to me that is a shocking score. And also, if you're a Frisco Lone Star fan, first of all, you are on notice. You gotta step up and you gotta show us what you got. Alito put their resume out there and said, okay, this is what we can do against the top 6 team. What is Lone Star going to do? And now when we're talking about these high-powered offenses against a really good defense, we saw what Alito just did to a high-powered offense. So I think that Brewer did not beat Denton Ryan, by the way, Mr. Friday Night Light. Come on, you can't be doing that. You beat Fossil Ridge. Fossil Ridge 45-27.
I was just about to give Brewer props when we see that flash.
Yeah, unbelievable. And Denton Ryan's found a second running back, by the way, too. Rontavian Brown is now almost their feature guy there with Reynolds as well. So, yeah, you're right. Alito's found an offense. That's going to be a problem. Hey, there's another one. If the rains didn't come, I was heading to this Wyatt Pascal game. It looked like it was a doozy, man. Were you following tweets by your boy Gosh? Because I kind of missed it there when I got deep into my second game there.
This game ended at 11:05. So, if we were going to go at 11, we would have just been sitting there, waiting for Gossett to give us the update on this. Yeah. There was a pass interference with about 12 seconds left in the game. So Pascal is on the 2-yard line. They don't get that, but then there's an untimed down, and they don't get that either. And O.D. Wyatt is able to hold on and win over Pascal. Go check out Brian Gossett's great call on that at Gossett41. He was a phenomenal job telling that story. Saginaw with a good bounce back, over Northside. South Hill's big win over Poly. So 4-5A Division I, it is still, I think Pascal is going to be that odd team out now that they've had losses to Arlington Heights and O.D. Wyatt.
And they played them tough too, which they haven't played tough with teams in a while. It's a shame they have to be the 5th team there.
Pascal is scoreboard watching while they play. And that's not good. Never.
Just like last year, Ward, it was like O.D. Wyatt lost those 2 or 3 games by 2 points. It was just too much for them. Pascal the same way, just a little bit too short.
Can't throw 3 pick sixes like they did last week. That's what got them. All right, a lot of these 5-5A games that weren't played at the Star tomorrow were played today. Frisco gave up 27, but they still got a big win, 48-27 over Lebanon Trail. Reedy, Kenny, do you remember when we went to that scrimmage?
I told Diggs just today.
Why was he talking to us like that? Coach Cole was talking to us like, he's like, what are you doing here? He's like, why are you here? We're unathletic. We can't get anything right. They got some stuff right. They're getting points. They're getting wins. They probably should have beat Wakeland.
And Diggs reminded me they should have beaten Wakeland. You're talking about them really just, clearly the second best team in that district at that point in time, if they would have. But I don't know, Ward. I think he was trying to play. He was pulling the wool over our eyes.
He's playing games with me. I don't like people playing games with me. I don't like people playing games. By the way, Sherrod, you deserve the love we're throwing your way because you've had an absolutely sensational season, especially when the other running back left out of town and everything fell on your shoulders. You've taken that and you felt no pressure and you just dominating every time out.
Yeah, DeSoto is like BS and AS. No, before Sherrod and after Sherrod. And that once Sherrod got to be quarterback in there, the AS DeSoto, the DE of the DS DeSoto has been playing great. District 5-5A, McKinney North. It's going to be down to McKinney North and Frisco for that last playoff spot. Yep. So unless there's some crazy things that happen, but I think it's just going to come down to McKinney North and Frisco. Reedy is looking great, and we're going to find out. Wakeland and Lone Star, the main event tomorrow night, 8 p.m. We'll find out the district champion in that district.
I hope to see the end of that game.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about this, Kenny? Your RL Turner team with a big win.
Big win over Sunset, man. They were heck of a competition there.
A big bounce back after that goose egg was laid on by the men of Troy last week in the Battle of Beltline. Excuse me, Josie Lane. It's crazy to me how that district. But I like to go back to the West Mesquite Carrollton Creekview game because I thought Creekview had an answer there early in that game when they tied it up at 7. But West Mesquite imposed their will on them. I think if it just wasn't a couple of fourth down opportunities that Creekview would have stopped them in the game, I think that game would have been over in the first half. West Mesquite, to me, is the clear number one team in this district.
You got to be number one in this one. The other ones are losing.
They're a physical team with great athletes, and I know Newman Stiff, my boys of Troy, stood up tonight. 50-7 over Brian Adams. We had running clock in the second half. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. On a long day.
Appreciate it.
I'll take it. But Newman Smith is going to have to really be physical on the lines of scrimmage against West Mesquite there. And I don't think that they have the personnel for that to beat them next week. West Mesquite's going to be your district champ. No question.
Yeah, this was my first chance to see West Mesquite in the Coach Jackson era, because I didn't get a chance to see him last year. And I came away really impressed. Very physical, very young. And you saw this, Kenny. Coach Jackson loves his players, and he's got that connection with the players, and they love him, and they really feed on him. I wanted to see if West Mesquite would look like a favorite, because remember, this was a team that lost to Princeton in the first week of the season, and I thought, okay, maybe they're a little bit down. But I think that they're going to be able to beat that fourth-place team out of 5-5 after seeing them in person. They have so much good defensive players, really talented offensive players, and I just don't think Frisco is going to have an answer for them. So I came away even more impressed with West Mesquite after getting to see them live and in person.
Ditto.
Absolutely. Highland Park, man, I could tell you Buck Randall stats, but just look at the last 7 weeks. It's the same daggone thing. That's all he does is throw for 367 and 4 touchdowns. He did it to Cleveland this week. Red Oak put some points on the board against Burleson Centennial, and they got their rival Midlothian next week, so they need to rev up for that joint.
We're gonna need to fill this spreadsheet out tomorrow with Midlothian and Tyler High, because that's what's really going to tell us kind of the direction of the playoffs. If Burleson Centennial would have been able to beat Red Oak, okay, now all of a sudden Burleson Centennial, after beating Tyler High, is in this in the mix. But Burleson Centennial has to take a step back and try to get over Joshua and Tyler and Midlothian and Red Oak and HB. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think they're back to the 6th spot.
Well, we did a thing on Randall, a couple of weeks ago. We said he was the leading passer in the area. He's still the leading passer in the area.
No doubt. Probably widen that thing. Well, the Argyle win was expected, and McGuire-Gasperson had a great game. But these other two games, Grapevine was behind at halftime, and Everman was up 21-10, just about ready to say you can take your mathematical chances and throw them out the window of Seguin, but Seguin went 14-0 or 12-0 in the second half to win it 22-21. Not putting a lot of faith in the Seguin Cougars after that effort.
Well, then they had to score 6 in the fourth quarter to win.
Yeah,
they outscored them 6-0 in the fourth. Timberview bounces back a little bit here, but I mean, Giving up 20 from Grapevine, that's alarming.
Losing
as what Diggs says, that's very alarming.
And Kenny talked about if you're scoreboard watching, you're not doing well. Seguin's going to be scoreboard watching because they need Colleyville Heritage to beat Summit to get Summit closer enough to where Seguin Summit matters. If Summit beats Colleyville Heritage, I think we're all done. But the shouting in 3-5A Division II. But, we talk about being done with the shouting. And the one score that is not up here that I wanted to talk about was the Prosper Walnut Grove Lovejoy game, which was a lot closer than expected. If you see a score not up here, blame Dave Campbell's because they didn't get it on their website. So we're pulling off of that.
29-26. 29-26 Walnut Grove.
Yeah, that's what
another workhorse effort with Cam Newton.
Do you think it was a hangover from last week for Walnut Grove? Because that's the least amount of points they've scored all year, right?
I mean, they had to be tired. I mean, we talked about it in our cold intro last week and on the podcast.
He got it again, though.
95 times.
He got 35 more carries this week. I mean, they must have rested him up early in the year, but Cam Newton 35 for 251.
I thought Ollie Gordon graduated already.
So did I with Nick Ralston. We don't have a lot of scores in this district. We do have the Sock one. Boom! Another big one. Sock's just going, they going through the motions till we get to week 12.
I'm pretty sure Hillcrest beat Thomas Jefferson as well, so I think that went final as well. So,
by the way, I got to give a shout out to Melissa's Brett Holloway, who threw 7 touchdowns today in their win over Amerson. Pretty good. And he only had to do 14 passes to do it. All right, talk to me about this, Diggs. The Ennis win over Crandall, it dampers the Corsicana win, right?
Yes.
Now it doesn't mean that last game won't mean nothing.
Yeah, it pretty much means nothing.
Which is too bad because that was a big win for Corsicana, although Kaufman may have phoned it in already.
Yeah, I mean, Corsicana is sitting there. I mean, they can get into a 3-way tie situation. Maybe if they win by enough, we can get a 3-way tie with Corsicana, Ennis, and Crandall for that last playoff spot. But they'd probably have to max win to get to that. That Ennis Crandall game was back and forth. You don't want to go look at Ward. You don't want to look at Ward's stat line. You see what I did there, Ward?
Oh, no.
What was not going to be good for you. But big win. It has been fun to watch Corsicana grow up over the last couple of weeks. They've gotten to that next level. I still think they'll statistically be able to control their destiny against Ennis. It'll just take a little bit more to get that 3-way tie to get in there. Terrell, I mean, look at that. Put up 70 on Greenville, and Midlothian Heritage just doing whatever they want to after that game against Terrell. They're mad, Ward.
Greenville stole Terrell's lunch money.
They got beat down for it, too. All right, we got some time to run through some 4A scores.
Brock.
Big wins all over the place. Graham took down Mineral Wells, making them change their names to Miserable Smells because they got goose eggs. Bam! Eagle Mountain with the shutout win, and Brock being Brock.
Man, a Benbrook game. Woo.
Benbrook has a history of kind of like the 4-6A scores. They win by 1. It's not always pretty, but they find a way to win. Godley, that was one of my upset picks. I had got the computers had Dunbar by a couple of scores over Godley. I just thought Godley. I felt like the computers were unfair against them because Glen Rose is just beating everybody right now really bad. And they're only 2-5, so I think they adversely punished them. Godley with a nice bounce back win. And the one pick I wanted to hit, even though I picked Eastern Hills to beat Carter Riverside, but if Carter Riverside could have got that win, they could have gotten to the playoffs. So still got one more chance against Western Hills, but
that would have been awesome.
And Alstein and Farmersville shootout.
That's true. Farmersville after that loss to Caddo Mills wanted to come back, but it still didn't work out.
Crum, no hangover, beating Sanger last week.
Sanger.
What about Castleberry? This is a couple of weeks now where they continue to look great. 50-13 over Lake Worth. That is a big win. Wills Point taking care of business. Ranchview, a little bit of a bounce back to be a little bit more respectable after that Alvarado game last week because Alvarado just absolutely boat raced them last week. And then Sunnyvale, big win over Quinlan Ford. That is what I wanted to see out of Sunnyvale. I've been challenging Sunnyvale week in, week out. We talked about it on the podcast, Ward. You got Canton, Quinlan Ford undefeated. A lot of people are talking about that. This is Sunnyvale's district, and I think that proved big time there. And look at a couple of these scores,
too. That Aubrey Lake Dallas. Woo.
Ooh, that was a little. Who's the fourth team out of here?
I guess we're going to be going to three-way tie at this point because Aubrey, Lake Dallas, and Paris are all going to end up having beat each other. Hello, Nedison. So what can you do there? And then the other big score, Pottsboro was a big win over Pilot Point.
Poor Hutch.
Back over Ponder.
All right, we will be back tomorrow night to give you another edition on our regular time at 11:30. Thanks for joining us on this early special edition on Thursday night. See you guys again tomorrow night.
It felt weird for him.